sorry, kiddo, I really am. You have a good soul. And I hate giving good people bad news.
I'm Tony, he's Mike, and we kick off the month of love with some hot gorilla on girl action with 1998's Disney Mighty Joe Young.
They were orphaned from childhood, best friends for life.
He's playing with you. Hide and seek.
Now, after 20 years, their greatest adventure is about to begin.
Oh my God.
All right, Jose. That was so cool.
Can you get him to put me down?
Joe, drop him.
Once you meet him, you'll never forget
Joe!
Disney's Mighty Joe Young.
Starring Charlize Theron, Bill Paxton, and a really, really big monkey.
There was multiple people that played that monkey. There was a man in a suit. There was Troy Verner, the little guy from the Austin Power movies.
Okay.
Yeah, he played the baby.
Oh, the baby monkey?
The baby, baby gorilla, baby Joe.
Baby Joe.
Yeah. Real quick plot. This is like as simple as it fucking gets. Beginning of the movie, you have the mom and Jill, who's Charlize Theron's character. Charlize Theron's like 8 or 9 or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's like very gorillas in the mist. They're studying the gorillas and stuff like that. There's poachers in there. Poachers come. Mighty Joe Young's mom gets shot. Charlize Theron's mom gets shot. And then she makes a promise to protect Joe.
He lost his mommy tonight. He needs someone to protect him. Will you do that for me? Promise me you'll protect him. I promise.
Well, she keeps that promise. Bill Paxton comes to do some research on Joe. There's poachers there, and they have a little thing going on there. And basically, Bill Paxton's like, hey, we can take Joe to L.A. There's a little private preserve there.
An animal as rare as Joe means big money. It's gonna be tough trying to protect him here, maybe impossible.
Here is where he lives. He doesn't have a choice.
That's not true. The people I work for could take care of Joe. They have the facilities.
A cage? That's just what Joe needs.
No, not a cage, a preserve. A place where he'll be free from poachers. A place he'll be safe.
So they do that. Well,
Shenanigans ensue.
Joe?
Pretty much from the most part, and yeah.
Poachers are bad.
You're not a hunter. You're a murderer, and I don't want any part of this. Anything else on your mind?
And then they sent Joe home with all the money that they raised to buy the Mighty Joe Young Animal Sanctuary. Okay, special effects wise, this movie is stunning.
Yes.
The effects, even now, even 26 years later, this movie looks amazing.
Yeah. There's maybe less than a handful of shots that are kind of ishy.
Yeah, and
But overall, it's really well done.
I was gonna say this. I mean, even compared to like Peter Jackson's King Kong, which was immensely more expensive than this, and seeing as they both deal with big giant monkeys, is like it's a fair comparison on this. I mean, honestly, I can see there's a bit of a quality difference, but not so much that I'm like going, oh yeah, I could definitely see where that extra $35 million went when I watch King Kong. But I will say this.
I'm sure it's more than 35 million.
Oh, well, but the characters in this are so wooden, so boring, so flat, so lazy. I mean, here's the thing. They like, okay, we're gonna take Joe to this preserve in Los Angeles. Okay, great, fine. We're gonna put her in charge of Joe, except for she's not an employee of the sanctuary, so she can't actually have any interaction with the monkey because they're not insured.
Oh, no, I'm going back in there with him.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We can't allow that. You see, we don't have insurance to cover anyone in there who's not an employee.
You're nuts.
But I'm supposed to be in charge of Joe.
Yes, you are, and I'm in charge of this facility.
And then Then, like, she gets put on the payroll because one of the big donors is all like, she knows how to control that animal. You got to put her in charge. Blah, blah, blah. He's going to raise a ton of money for this place.
Put that girl in charge of the gorilla.
Elliot, she has no scientific
That
training.
ape is the best fundraising tool this conservancy has ever had. He's happy. I'm happy. Put her on the payroll, Harry.
That's all fine and good. But then, like, literally the whole time that he's at the preserve, she spends no time with Joe at all. She's too busy f***ing off with Bill Paxton.
So this is what you call a good meal in a fine restaurant?
Yeah. It's my favorite restaurant because they let you take off your shoes.
And let's be honest, Charlize, you can do better, baby. You can do a lot better than Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton's a charming fucker.
Yes, charming. Charming.
Not handsome. He's charming. It'll get you a long way.
but I'm just Bill Paxton is so white man savior. I'm here to say that Joe was doing just fine until you showed up with your video camera and a bunch of poachers to help capture genetic samples of these animals, and now all the poachers have seen him. Brilliant! Great job, Bill! Great job! Way to show up and really help out the animal population there. And then there's the Indian guy who's a total scumbag, and he's like, oh yeah, I know somebody would pay you $10,000 American for that cheetah.
Okay, set him free.
Why bring a cage if you're not keeping the animal?
Because I'm only taking this.
Yes, but I know a guy in Botswana. He'd pay you 10,000 American dollars for that leopard.
Then you have the poachers, which are like literally short of a mustache twirl. they could not be any more like cut and paste.
My God, Binti was right. The most beautiful animal I ever seen.
And the most valuable, that's for sure.
I wanted to watch this movie because I remember it far more fondly than this. I remember watching it and going, hey, I don't get why doesn't anybody talk about Mighty Joe Young? It's not a bad movie. Now I know. Even Charlize Theron is all like, Mighty Joe what? I don't know what you're talking about.
You're right. The biggest sin in this movie is the characters. They are so f***ing one note. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. And there's no character development between any of them.
Nope.
I mean, really, even between Charlize Theron and Joe, which is like the strongest connection in this whole movie, it's there, but it's only because they had the most screen time together.
Yeah.
Hey, big guy. What were you doing stomping around looking for trouble yesterday, huh? You're not supposed to let people see you, remember? Don't do that again, okay? Please. Please.
Yeah.
And that's really it.
I'm going to even go so far as to say this. The best performance in this film is Joe.
Yes.
He's actually endearing in this, unlike Charlize Theron or, dare I say, Bill Paxton. And here's the one that really gets me. This is, I think, this movie's unforgivable sin. In the original Mighty Joe Young, like there's an orphanage and it's on fire, and Joe actually goes and he saves a bunch of orphans, but he dies doing it. And that's kind of like the whole point of the tale, was that here was this incredible, intelligent animal and it died because people just couldn't leave well enough the f*** alone. And in this movie, we have the setup where there's the little kid, Jason, who gets stuck on the Ferris wheel. And I don't know how a Ferris wheel that's made out of metal catches fire, but this one somehow manages to do it. And then Joe climbs up to save Jason. I still don't know why. It's not like Joe was like, loving people, but maybe it was because he was a little kid, and that's fine. I get that. I'll let that one slide. But then Joe falls and he saves Jason by using his body, and then his heart is stopped. But through the magic of Disney and love, his heart starts up again. And then they fly him back to Botswana. It's
It wasn't all that bad. It's really not. It's not good, but it's not that bad either. It's very Disney. But at least in this era of Disney, you could show some violence. You could show some adult themes and things like that, and not shelter poor Jimmy and Jane and shit like that. You can't see violence on stuff. bad shit happens. There's bad people out there, and there's actually some universal, qualities, and things that are done in this as opposed to, what's the hottest topic now that we can throw in our movies to talk about.
Well, I was going to say, actually, at the time, animal poaching was a big deal. And so I mean, it's very Disney in that they took a tragedy and then decided, hey, we can make a buck.
Yeah. That's the other biggest sin, too, is if your villain is not compelling, then he doesn't need to be in there. And that's the sad thing, too, because Disney normally does great, compelling villains.
Yeah.
Like Lion King, Scar, great compelling villain.
Ursula,
yeah,
from The Little Mermaid. I mean, there's Disney can do a compelling villain. They can do a villain that is easy to get invested in. It's even a villain that you can identify with. Yeah. And this is such a lazy villain in this one. And I mean, there's some interesting, like the whole thing about the funky keychain that they use to startle the gorillas so that when they hear them moving, they know where to like start shooting. Okay, great. I get all that. That's the one detail that actually made them interesting. But like legitimately, again, this once in a generation, this gargantuan, this gorilla that's got gigantism. And it's this absolutely rare. You're going to tell me that this animal isn't worth more alive than dead? Like, for real.
Yeah.
For real. You're actually going to try and tell me that somebody getting a gorilla skull ashtray is somehow going to pay millions of dollars? Or like, yeah. I realize that there's a poaching market for gorilla products. I understand all that, but this movie just treats it like, oh, look, we're evil. We must kill the gorilla and sell him for his parts. We're going to make so much money.
How much do you think he's worth? Couple of million?
After we sell him off, piece by piece, who knows how much we'll make.
I really wanted to like this movie. I just, it's if you got a family, you can watch it with your family. It's fine. It's better than most Disney stuff that's out there now. But other than that, I can't really recommend it.
I'm going to say skip this movie, go back, watch the original, because even though it's a 1930s film and it's stop motion special effects, it's a more compelling film than this. It's a much more honest film than this, because Joe's not like sold to a preserve, he's sold to a circus.
Yeah.
And so, and tragedy ensues from all that. I think actually it's a better use of the character. Yeah. It's not just a recycled King Kong.
Yeah. And that's what was going to be my next thing, is like, at least in King Kong, like the one we reviewed last year for the month of love, there was more meat on the bones for the characters. You got really more invested in those guys. And the exploitation of Kong was like more developed. There's actually a reason there to exploit them.
Yes.
We went to try to find something. Well, we couldn't find it. We need something to promote our product. Well, hey, we got a giant monkey. This works out great.
We're going to cut our losses. We're going to bring this back, and it's going to be a huge media firestorm, and therefore we're going to get a whole lot of press coverage. And hey, look, we're God, what was it? It wasn't Exxon. What was the name of the
I'll throw it up here.
It doesn't mean, he'll throw it up there, but they're not going to put a cartoon tiger in your tank. They're going to bring out Kong, by damn. But yeah, no, I like everything about this just like felt like there's an original version of this, and they let the original do all the work. They didn't bother to actually develop any of the characters. If you can tell me anything about Charlize Theron's character in this film other than the fact that she raised Mighty Joe Young, I'm all ears, because I can't tell you a thing about it except for she's never worn a big white dress before. Yep. So, and that, seriously, that whole fundraiser bit, there was like, we got Charlize Theron. She's really hot. We need to figure out some way to put her in a really slinky dress. And so they did the fundraiser, and everybody's going to be like, oh, ain't nobody going to be looking at Mighty Joe. Really? Really? I mean, that's the best use you had for this character who's, just this movie.
Yeah. That's all we need.
This is on Disney Plus right now if you care. I don't. I got nothing else to say. I was
done 2 minutes ago. So
we will catch you next time.